Hello, girls and boys. Welcome back to Read Me a Story. And hello also to my grandchildren. 6 of them. Max and Theo and Josephine, Charlotte, Penelope, and Simon. Girls and boys, it's an exciting day today. We're going to read a story that's in poetry form, and it's for older students, so that's a little bit different. But before I do that, I want to show you my book. I'm the author of this book. It's called Tips and Tidbits for Parents and Teachers. This is for your moms and dads to read, and they can get it from AmazonBooks.com, and it will help them to help you at home. It tells them all about my 50 years in the classroom, and I share with them many of the things that I learned that will help them. All right, so now we're going to talk about the cremation of Sam McGee. Now, if you're in grades 7 and 8, it might be that your teacher will ask you to memorize this poem. That's what happened to us when we were in school and we were in grade 7 and 8. It's a story in poetry form. And it was written by Robert Service, and the paintings are by a very famous artist called Ted Harrison. All right. It takes place in the Yukon. Way up north. Here's a globe, and you can see Canada here and the Yukon way up north in the land of ice and snow, where many people would be digging and searching for gold long time ago. Here is a map of the Yukon territories, way up north, northern Canada. British Columbia is just underneath it. All right, here we go. The Cremation of Sam McGee. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold! Through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, then the lashes froze, till sometime we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and, "Cap," says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with sort of a moan, "It's the cursed cold, and it's got right hold, till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." A pell's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh, and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee, and before nightfall A corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promise true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies, round in a ring, howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, and on I went, though the dogs were spent, and the trail was bad, and the grub was getting low. And I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and then I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, said I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I buried a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out, and they danced about, ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I barely said, "I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked." Then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, "Please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm." There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. And that's the end of that story. And notice, girls and boys, that it begins with the same verse that it ends. Poets often do that, repetition in their verse. Those were rhyming couplets, and they were such fun to read to you. And I hope you enjoyed that, girls and boys, and see you next time for Read Me a Story. Bye for now.